time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome stuff we'll talk about this week. All kind of crazy things going on still. We talked about it last week, talked about the week before that. January was absolutely on fire. February is looking to be the same exact way. It's lightened up a little bit just because rates have gone back up a little. We had that short little boost of adrenaline, so to speak, that we had when rates were down. Lowest had been in a very long time. And so all the buyers who have been on the sidelines from October, November, December jumped back in, and we saw that huge number. We saw numbers that were coming in as far as new properties going to contract that were equivalent to really last summer. And we're still seeing close to that now. So we'll talk about that, what's going on. We'll talk about we have seen that slow down a little bit in terms of new properties going to contract, new buyer traffic, things like that. But it's still rock and roll. We'll talk about what's happening in real time, what happened the last 7 days here in the real estate market. We have an interesting story that I really want to talk about because I've got more details on it. We mentioned it briefly on last week's show, but we have a horror story to share where a 70-year-old lady, sweet lady, had $80,000 in equity stolen from her, and it's scary. And it's just taken because she was trying to save some money, and ended up costing her $80,000 of money that she would have gotten in her pocket, her hard-earned equity. We'll talk about how that happened, how to defend yourself against that. I see it every week, and really it's the main reason why we do the show. I'll talk about it in a second. But the good news is pending sales still up. They're up about, significantly. It was up 100% plus from where they were just in the first week of January. Thank goodness. We'll talk about that. We've had one thing on the docket the last couple of weeks we haven't really had a chance to get to, but I wanted to reflect on it because as we see rates go back up, which they have been, we want to kind of remember what happened last year in 2023. The sales are lowest has been in 29 years, back since 1995. So we'll talk about what the difference is, what that means, how to compare that, because there's a lot of different nuances and differences there. Overall, but there was a Federal Reserve meeting last week, and they did kind of pause any rate cuts, which has made rates go up indirectly. We'll talk about that and kind of what to look forward to. It's going to throw off the timing of the spring market, and so we kind of want to talk about what that has to do with. We'll just do the same thing we do every week, really. We have one main goal in this show, and that's just to kind of keep you updated on anything, everything real estate related here on the Grand Strand, because for most people, real estate's their largest asset, right? And so I just have a goal. I've been in the show 15 years now. I think where we just want to give you information, keep you updated on what's happening with sales, what's happening with home values, to give you the tools and things you need to help make good decisions with those assets. And that's our main goal. And we know if we give the community and kind of share good data, good stories, things that may help you make better decisions, that comes back to us in the long run. If you ever want to come back and listen to these shows, we do stream this on your favorite podcast, like Spotify, whatever. Just talking, search Blake Sloan Radio. You can also go to YouTube site, type Blake Sloan Radio Show. Follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. You can also follow Sloan Realty Group on Facebook, and we stream those live for you to be able to see each week. But same thing. If you have any questions at all, reach out to us. Everything real estate related. It doesn't have to be like to sell something. Like, we're here to serve, and we know if we give you what you need in the meantime, when you are ready to sell, you'll come back to the best. And so you can always call us 843-808-SOLD, or you can blakesloan.com anytime. But great stuff today on today's show.
The Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may be seeing him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaRocque. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing, but the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that.
Yes, and that's just the whole why behind this show is just like, look, we want to help people make better decisions and help people understand like the nuances of real estate. And I just see horror story after horror story after horror story after horror story every single week. And like, I share a couple of them here and there. Like, I just had another one. We'll talk about the one like June, the lady who's 7 years old and lost $80,000 in equity, one bad decision. And another person, I can't remember the first name, but last time I think it was Rodriguez. This week, she bought a condo, new construction, but then didn't get completed. So then she went and bought a house, and now paying 2 payments. But looked up, came to us as it was about to expire, and marketing just horrendous. A brand new condo, the first 5 photos for all the exterior of the building. 4 of the 5 photos are almost the exact same. The first photo of the inside of the property was the hallway, which just looked terrible. It's just terrible marketing, right? And someone who doesn't understand marketing. So here's the problem: is that everyone makes this massive mistake, and it doesn't matter how affluent they are. It doesn't matter how many properties they sold. They just make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth, right? Just like any doctor, any lawyer talk about this all the time, but it's that important because even people that listen to the show, I mentioned 2 weeks ago, the builder that called and listened to the show a long time, called me, couldn't figure out why his property's not selling. He has it listed with some discount broker, marketing's terrible, and it hasn't sold, right? So it's one of those things that people make this mistake of thinking all agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth. Just like I mentioned, doctors, lawyers, if I'm charged with a crime I did not commit, the last thing I want to do is hire a part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases to help me. But for some reason, when it comes to real estate, that's what people do. They want the nicest one, the one their friend recommended. They do no research. We talk about this all the time, is that most people spend more time thinking about where they go to dinner on Friday night than they do in terms of thinking about the agent that they picked to sell the largest asset, or even the questions to ask the agent about selling the largest asset. They have no clue how to do it. And so they make this mistake of just going with who they feel is or who their friend recommended. And it just creates absolute disaster. And so I do this show every week to just help people just understand, look, the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that thing is the agent you choose, period. And it comes down to how does the agent you choose actually execute. What most people don't realize, when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they dropped the ball. That could be anything, like I mentioned earlier. The first 5 photos are all the exterior of the house or the condo, and they all look the same. And the first photo of the inside of the property is the worst photo of the property, which makes buyers click off that property because they search by elimination. There's all these nuances and things that matter that make or break the home sale. And what happens is, what most agents do is they don't have any systems or processes or anything in place to help manage those. They're just winging it, right? They're just trying to sell a house to survive. The average agent or marketplace sells 4 homes per year. That's 1 per quarter. That's not enough money to put food on the table with, much less spend in marketing on your behalf to get your property the exposure it needs. And so what you find is they end up doing the 3 Ps we talk about all the time. Is they promise you the world to get the listing. They say anything and everything that they think you want to hear to get the listing. Second thing to do is put it into MLS, the multiple listing service. And 3 is they sit back and pray that someone else brings a buyer. They take half the commission. They survive another couple months, and they're happy with that. Meanwhile, you just left 40 grand of your hard and equity on the table. And I see this happen over and over and over and over again every single week. And we try to share some of these stories. And so that's the why behind this show. And that's why I do this show, is like, look, let's teach them a little bit how the inside of the business works and help them understand, like, look, the agent you choose matters more than anything, because it's just like anything that has humans involved, right? There's going to be human element to it. And what happens is humans don't always work their best in every situation, right? Just like any restaurant. Sometimes I have a great experience. Sometimes I can have a terrible experience in the same restaurant. The difference was the people I had interaction with. And so it comes down to what standards they have, how they execute, what intensity they have. And so the only difference in this scenario is you're dealing with, for most people, their largest assets, not just the dinner they're having for that Friday night dinner. And so here's the deal, right? I went out and said, look, there's got to be a better way. How can we make sure that we can create great results for our clients over and over and over in a predictable way, and help get them most money? And I sought out, designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. That's what got us featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, all these things. Is we took the traditional model, flipped it upside down, and created this system, like I mentioned, called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. On the flip side, there's 100 plus variables for buyers. If each one's handled correctly, it saves you money in your purchase, or you get the property you want at the best possible price. But if not, you miss out on that property, or what tends to happen is you tend to overpay in many cases. And so that system I designed to help protect our clients against that is called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation purchase price, as well as a home inspection to get you that closing table successfully with the best possible competitive advantage. And so both those systems are designed to do one thing, is to get you that competitive advantage. And so when the stakes are so high, like you're not buying a Best Buy TV here, you're dealing with your largest asset, something you paid payments on every single month for 20, 30 years in some cases, and you want to make sure you extract and take all the hard-earned equity that you deserve or that your parents created if you inherited that property, right? Someone had to struggle to help keep that property and pay those payments. You want to make sure you don't just give that money away, and don't do that by just going with any old agent or we call them just AFA, an average frustrated agent who just comes in, they're trying to survive. They give you a lowball price. They do nothing. And you end up leaving lots of equity on the table. And most people get to the closing table. And the trickiest part about it is that we talk to so many people that get to the closing table. They think they did awesome. They're high-fiving themselves. You look up the numbers, they left 40 grand on the table. But they thought they had a great success because they got a cheap commission and they got the property sold. But meanwhile, they didn't actually get the most amount of money possible. And so those are what the nuances are that make or break it. And so if you want to know more how it works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. You owe it to yourself. Your friends or relatives owe it to themselves to at least see how it works and see what the difference is. And our hope there is we can help you at least ask some different questions, some better questions to get a better outcome for you and your largest assets.
Here, the real estate market is constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, I know certain programs make it a lot easier for the seller. Which ones do you offer?
Hey, Sean. In addition to our traditional program that sells your home for top dollar, we have an instant offer, a multi-offer, and a guaranteed offer program. I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars who are looking to buy homes in the Grand Strand right now.
And what kind of return can you expect from them?
Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience, and we deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money, and we have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that nets settlers up to 5 to 10% more money than traditional industry methods.
All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. We offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you guys are just sellers on a certain date, they can have their home payment ready.
That's great. And if the seller has a big mortgage,
Use our approved marketing plan to sell to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Radio Show. Market update, all kind of stuff going on right now. We're still doing pretty good. Thank goodness we'll take it. For February especially, numbers are smoking hot. We talk about two types of numbers on the show all the time. We call them the windshield numbers. Like, hey, what's happening in front of us right now? How can I have a real-time pulse of what the marketplace is doing so I can advise my clients to be more aggressive, less aggressive? And I want to know, like, what's happening real time. The second type of data that most everyone uses is the rearview mirror data. That's like what closed last month. So we're in February now. Look at what numbers closed in January. The problem with that is if it closed in January, we're under contract in November, December, right? 30 to 6 days prior, they go through the underwriting process, the inspection process, all that stuff. And then finally it closes, 30 to 60 days later. That doesn't give you real-time pulse, but it lets you know what's happening in real time in terms of value. So I want to always use both of those to help keep, a pulse on what's really happening. But like looking right now, as I mentioned in previous shows, we started doing this since COVID. Anytime a 7-day period in our Grand Strand area has $200 million in real estate going under contract, the market is smoking hot. Very, very good opportunity. It's usually around the summertime months, but since rates went down, what we found in January, about mid-January, is that the so many buyers that were on the sidelines for November, even October, November, December, very, very slow here in the Grand Strand. If you look at closed deals between December and January, they were 1 unit off. But in closed deals, it's the slowest it's been since January 2016. And so just very, very low amount of buyers because so many buyers were on the fence with rates being so high. And so what happened as rates came down, all those buyers on the fence jumped back in. They're still doing so. We've seen a huge kind of spike in prices really quickly. We've seen a huge spike in properties going under contract. And that's great news out there for home sellers. Not so great news for home buyers, but it's good news that rates are back down because we've seen multiple offers again. We're seeing that happen overall the past really 3 or 4 weeks. We've been really 24/7 doing everything we can to keep up. We've done a very, very good job with that. But look in the last 7 days, there's 535 properties went under contract. Last week's show was 565. So a 5% drop week over week in terms of properties going under contract. But here's the interesting part. If you look at volume, the amount of properties, and this is a simple formula I do every morning. I track in our office every single morning. We go in our morning huddle. We always go over it. So we kind of have a real-time pulse. And that way, if I know the market's super hot, I can tell my client push a little harder in terms of getting more money for their house, right? I just know what's happening, where a lot of agents don't even understand that data to advise their clients that way. And that's how you create small points of leverage to get your clients more money. But here's another cool part. If you look at volume, the amount of property total, like you add all the prices up, right, of everything under contract last 7 days, the total volume sold when under contract was 206,765,000, which is awesome. Last week's show is only 194 million, so a 6.25% increase in volume week over week, even though there were less units sold. And what we saw was when all the buyers jumped back in, prices jumped back up really quickly, multiple offers jumped back up really quickly, and that was something we saw a lot of high-end stuff move as well. And so that's just something interesting. We'll see. I made an offer actually on a property that was a $1 million plus property, been sitting in the market for 187 days. That certain price at over 30 days since the beginning of January, and all of a sudden it went to multiple offers in that same exact week, which is just kind of crazy to see and think about when all those buyers started jumping back in. So interesting numbers there to look at overall. Here's the crazy part: 20 properties are over $1 million under contract, which is awesome. Last week's show there was only 7. And it goes right back to what I was talking about a second ago. So last week's show, only 7 properties over $1 million went under contract. This past 7 days, 20 properties. So almost a 3 times increase there, which is crazy. This week, 90 properties over 500,000. Last week's show, 85 properties over 900,000. So inventory is the exact same it was from last week. Right now, 959 active homes on the market in Horry County. That's resale homes, doesn't count new construction, just because that data is not always accurate. Some of the builders don't put all their homes on. So we used to resale homes in Horry County. Right now, 959 homes. It is down where it was up about 1,000 early December. It's down to 959 right now because so many buyers have been buying. But the coolest part is if you go back to the first week of the year, we're 100+% increase in terms of properties sold or properties under contract, which is great news. So what does that mean? It means that we're seeing rates go back up. The number of sales are slowing down a little bit in terms of new properties under contract. A lot of the buyers who were on the sidelines jump back in. So you saw a short-term spike in demand. I think you're still seeing a lot of buyers push right now who are still looking, trying to find that right deal. They kind of restarted their engine, so to speak, back in the game, which we've had a lot of buyers do that. So if you're thinking about selling, you want to take advantage earlier than normal. And if one of the headlines for the topic I was going to talk about, national news came out. It said, quote, "Don't wait till spring to sell your home." There's a couple of reasons why. We'll talk about that in today's show, but it's true, right? There's just a lot of people are getting off the sidelines earlier than later because rates created that environment, right? So just keep that in mind if you're a home seller from an overall advice standpoint. If you look at kind of what's the closed deals, the rearview mirror numbers from last month, for anybody that missed last week's show, sales are down 6.6% at 310 properties overall. So it's pretty close. So if you go to December is at 300, January 310. Overall, if you look at sales price, you're looking at 10% increase in sales price, which is January versus January. So January last year to January this year, 10% increase, which is great news overall, especially when you talk about the sales being lowest they were since 1995. It just shows you how much of a housing shortage that we're in tremendously. That's a big problem, right? 10% increase overall. Median price right now, $385,000. Average sale price up 13.6% at $507,100. So it just shows you that even though sales were super low the last 12 months, the lowest it's been since 1995. Price is still up 10+%, both median and average sale price here on the Grand Strand, which is great news, right? Because we are a high demand destination. We're seeing massive influx of people from up north coming in, other areas coming in, and we're still one of the fastest growing cities in North America, which is great. So that's something we'll keep talking about as a property value standpoint. Inventory still low. It's still a super seller's market, meaning there's still a seller's advantage in the marketplace right now. There's only 3.2 months of inventory. Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. But back to what I mentioned earlier, with the challenges a lot of people run into is just traffic. There's just less buyers right now. Right now, the average showings per listing is 4.5 showings per listing. That's across the entire MLS. And the software that does is they basically track all the showings. You book your showing through that software, and that's what they do. And so 4.5 showings per listing on average. The only problem is the average amount of showings it takes to get a contract, they call it showings per pending, is 14.1. So if you think about it, showings per listing, 4.5, showings to pending, 14.1. That's why the marketing you have is super important. That's why you need to be able to differentiate your property. That's why you need to be able to make sure it looks good online. That's why you don't want to have a situation like I mentioned earlier with Rodriguez that their property, the first 5 photos are all the exterior of the condo complex. 4 of the 5 look the exact same. The first photo of the inside of the property was photo number 6, and it was a hallway which looked terrible. And if you go on, it's a beautiful property, but most buyers, when they search by elimination because there's 30, 40 properties that match your criteria. You get basically a couple seconds to differentiate for it to look good, and they're moving on to something else. And so that's what we know by tracking those, and that's why details matter when you're looking at that type of stuff overall. And that's just something to keep in mind. But the bottom line is market's still super hot. Price is still holding pretty well. And inventory is still very, very, very low. So if I had any investment properties, or I'm looking maybe to buy something else than still what I got, now is a great time because price is still holding strong. Inventory is still low. And buyer demand is up high, thankfully, to this recent interest rates, which came back down, which is awesome. So speaking of interest rates right now, a 30-year fixed rate, 6.97%. It has gone back up. Last week's show, we were at, I think, 6.62. A 15-year fixed rate, 6.33. A 30-year jumbo loan, 7.31%. A 5-year ARM, adjust rate mortgage, 6.56. A 30-year FHA, 6.23. And a 30-year VA loan, 6.25% overall. And so that's still anything below 7. We've seen great opportunity for buyers out there. It has crept back up since the Fed meeting, when people just kind of realized there's not going to be the Fed cuts like people thought initially back in December. I'm thinking about taking action, do it sooner rather than later. If you want to know more how it works, you can always reach out to me and call me 843-808. So we also have an amazing tool online I spend lots of money for. You can get an instant home evaluation from our website right from your phone. It's super simple. You just type in this little chat bot and it asks you a couple of information about your house. It takes 2 seconds and it'll give you the updated home value. It also give you an instant cash offer right there online, what your property can get, just instant off market offer there. And it also gives you your homeowner dashboard. You can come back anytime and look and see what's sold in the neighborhood. You watch trends from all different data sources. It shows you these graphs where it's like, here's the 3 major data sources. Here's what the prices show. And it just helps you keep, and you can put all your entire portfolio on there. So if you got 4, 5, 6 properties, commercial property, residential, you just add your address. You have one dashboard, and it keeps you updated. And you can access it anytime. You do that at blakesloan.com. We'll take a quick break. Right back in a second with a hot buyer alert.
WRNN listeners, Blake Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to or buy it himself. And since you know when
Cool, thank you.
your home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two more.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Radio Show. Hot Buyers Alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers here looking to buy properties in the Grand Strand area from $250,000 to $4.3 million. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we do every single week is put my money where my mouth is. Like we mentioned, our business model that we have is so much different, where I flip the traditional old school 8-track tape real estate business model upside down and create an iPad 2 in terms of business model. It allows me to outspend the average agent 100-1 from a marketing standpoint. Yes, obviously you probably see it on TV, radio, billboards. We spend tens of thousands of dollars also driving traffic online from all across the globe. And one thing we do is we have a tremendous amount of buyers at our buyer team. We're 27, 28 active buyers agents or buyer experts right now. All day long, every day, all they do is they make phone calls to those buyers and then match up buyers and sellers. So we're super aggressive in how we sell properties, because that's what you hire us to do, is sell it, not just sit back and hope someone else sells it for us. So right now, active home buyers, 75,218 active home buyers, and 75,218 active home buyers, and they're from all over. And these are real people, like username, password, account. I've had a couple people, competitors who listen to the show, try to copy and away, but we found out they were just talking about hits. Like with us, these people have a username, password, account, and they're active buyers. Like right now, I got Larry Short, he's from Essex, Maryland. I got Rob Wallen from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina here. I got Tony Sabraro from Annandale, New Jersey. Gary Curtis from North Myrtle Beach. I got Pam Skeen from Providence, Rhode Island. Christopher Somerville from Ackworth, Georgia. I got Karen Granger, Greensboro, North Carolina. Monica from Hackensack, New Jersey. I got Mechanicsville, VA, Gloucester, Massachusetts, all over the place. We have here Maype, Ontario, Whitehall, PA, and so New York. And the reality is we have buyers from all across the globe that are already looking to buy a property just like yours. And so how we sell properties faster for more money, that buyer team I was telling you about, they make on average 16,000 phone calls a week to our buyer leads that we have. These aren't cold calls, and their job is to match up buyers and sellers. So you can see how that's a little more effective than the one agent that you hire who's doing it part-time and playing golf on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just puts it in MLS and hopes someone else sells it. Here, we're a machine, right? We're make sure we have a team of specialists who reaches out and able to push the property and actually be aggressive in saying, hey, you're a buyer looking for this exact type of property. We have exactly what you're looking for. Do you want to take a look at it? They say yes, because our technology we have reverse engineers the most likely buyer for that property based on our previous search patterns, and it allows them to be able to match perfectly. And that's how we're able to do so and do it over and over and over again. So that led to another great success story. I got 2 minutes left. Really quick shout out, John and Tricia. They had a house in Myrtle. They had been trying to sell for over 6 months. They're trying to move back up north to be close to their grandchildren, but were very, very frustrated in the lack of results from the real estate agent. They had almost given up after it expired and just decided to keep their house. But thankfully, their friend who listens to this radio show told them to call Blake Sloan. We came in, immediately identified the problem, which is the marketing. I came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. We drove massive traffic, had it under contract in less than 2 weeks. And that's why the agent you choose matters. Also, Wesley owned a house in Myrtle Beach, basically looking to move out the area, came in, want to get the most amount of money possible. Thankfully, heard about us on the radio, called us. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, drove massive traffic. In a couple of weeks, received fantastic offer, full asking price, and now he's able to move on. Overall, 2 minutes. I want to share a horror story I mentioned that briefly last week about June. Her name is June, the sweetest lady. Said she's 70 years old. She basically came to our website on the date January 26th at 4:50 p.m. And we called her immediately after that at 4:51. Joe and my team spoke with her, and she said she had sold her property to a woman that just got married, and that the agent was a woman's father, so she did not have to pay any listing agent commission. She said she was online on our website to check the property because she felt like she got ripped off. And Joe's notes here is that she did. The home is worth $270,000. She sold it for $190,000. So it's $80,000 that it costs her in her hard equity for someone who had been building this, and she owned the property, I think 2004 when I looked it up. And this one of those things that we verified it. That's exactly what the property could have easily sold for. Was $270,000, and they're trusting people out there who are looking after their best interest and not her best interest. Because obviously, the lady, she did say she saved commission. That was what she wanted to do versus getting a listing agent. And so, saving 3% cost her $80,000. And so, a $200,000 house, right? Let's say she saved, $6,500. The $6,500 that she wanted to save cost her $80,000 of her hard-earned equity. And I see this happen every single week, these type of things. And so don't be like June. Don't be like that. Don't let your family be like that. I just wanted to think like, man, I wish somebody would have told her and her family, like, look, call somebody like Blake Sloan, call and let somebody protect your hard-earned equity. There's so much data out there, and people can manipulate that data if they don't have your best interest in mind. In some cases, you don't even know to ask, right? They don't know the right questions to ask. We do this all day, every day, and we're licensed in our jobs to look after you, your family, and their best interest. So if you want to know more how that works and you want to be a part of that, have someone protect you and don't give away $80,000 of your hard-earned equity. Call me, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. Be right back next week, same time.